Consider the following formula. Which of the following statements is true for this formula? This is another question that's asking us to identify the relationship between two variables within a function. In this case, one of our variables, v squared, must, no matter what, be greater than 0, and here's why. When you are squaring a number, you are taking two identical numbers. So 1 squared is taking that number and multiplying it to itself. -1 squared, same thing. -1 times -1. There is no number that you can square. There are no two identical numbers that you can multiply together that will yield a negative result. You could square 0, and that would just give you 0 times 0, which is also 0. So you only get 0 and positive results when you're squaring a number. There's no way to get a negative result. So that is why v squared has to be greater than 0. And what that allows us to do is rewrite our expression to say 4 minus 2n, instead of being equal to v squared, it's greater than 0. And now we have an inequality that we can solve and maybe use to figure out which of these statements are true and false. So let's start any other way we would do solving an equation, which is with opposite operations. 2n is being subtracted, so let's add 2n to both sides. These will cancel, leaving us with 4 is greater than 0 plus 2n is 2n. Then 2 is being multiplied to n, so we can do the opposite, which is dividing both sides by 2. These will cancel, leaving us with 2 is greater than n, or n is less than 2. Now let's take a look at some of our answer choices and see if we can use this information to tell what's true and false. A says when the value of n is greater than 2, there are no solutions for v. This is true because the only time there are solutions for v are for values of n that are less than 2. So the opposite, n is greater than 2, would be all of the values that there are no solutions for v, making A our correct answer. At that point, you can mark A and move on with the rest of the test, but for the sake of the video, let's talk about why B, C, and D are incorrect. B says when the value of n is greater than 2, v is necessarily negative. This is not true because when n is greater than 2, there are no solutions for v. So that makes B incorrect. C, when the value of n is less than 2, v is necessarily positive. This is halfway true. When n is less than 2, there are solutions for v, but those solutions do not necessarily have to only be positive. Remember, two identical positive numbers or two identical negative numbers could yield the same result. So v on its own could be negative or could be positive, not just positive, making C incorrect. D, when the value of n is greater than -2, there are no solutions for v. In this case, this question is hoping that you would have messed up your signs somewhere in the process of simplifying this expression and gotten a -2 instead of a +2. But in this case, when n is greater than +2, there are no solutions for v, not when n is greater than -2, making D incorrect and A our only correct answer.